I want to mention something special about the virtual paths that I selected for my bundles. They are called virtual paths because those paths don't actually exist. They don't have to exist. Paths like /bundles/CSS and /bundles/JS. I'm using those URLs that do not exist just so you can see them work. The MVC runtime and the bundling components will be able to intercept a request for those virtual paths and respond with the bundled resources. So everything in my example is going to work, but I could run into problems if I was using some specific styles inside of Bootstrap. Because inside of bootstrap.css, in addition to layout, there are also styles that you can use that will give you little icons for alerts and icons to place on buttons. Those icons are stored in an images directory that is underneath the style sheet. And if you look in Bootstrap, you'll see that the style sheet references those files using a relative URL, relative to the style sheet. And that works perfectly because when a browser sees a relative URL in a style sheet, like images/something.png, it will request that particular resource relative to where it retrieved the style sheet. In my case, I am using the name bundles to make a point that what we are specifying is a virtual path that doesn't exist at all. But it could get me into trouble if I want to use some of these features that reference an asset using a relative URL. Because when I create a bundle with a virtual path of /bundles/CSS, then when I want to send that bundle to the client, I reference it using its virtual path. So literally it's like having a link for a style sheet with an href of /bundles/CSS. And the problem there is that when the browser sees that it needs to include images/something.png from this particular style sheet, well, it thinks that that style sheet came from a file named CSS in the directory bundles. So it'll make a request for /bundles/images/something.png. And that file does not exist. That particular request is not going to be intercepted, and the server is simply going to return a 404, and you're not going to have your images or icons appear. If we want bundled assets and imports and other features like that in CSS to work, we need to make the virtual paths appear as if they're coming from the same directory as where the style sheet actually exists. So a working bundle config for this particular scenario, where we're going to use some of these styles that have background images specified, in that scenario I could use a virtual path of /content/CSS, because now the browser thinks the style sheet came from a file called CSS that is in the content directory, and when it needs to get one of those images, it will make a request to /content/images/something.png, and that's where that file actually exists, and the server will be able to return it, and all of the icons work. I'm going to continue using bundles as the virtual path name just to make a point, and you'll see it work in this case, but be aware that you'll want to use the real path to the style sheet at least with anything at the end, so /content/CSS or /content/styles or /content/elephant, any of those would work. When you start a new MVC4 project template using the internet template, the style sheet bundle will be called /content/CSS. That means any relative URLs or imports in the style sheet will always work, and you might want to do the same thing with JavaScript files too. There are some libraries out there that will asynchronously load additional pieces of the library using a relative path from where the script was loaded. So instead of using /bundles/JS, you might want to use /scripts/JS.